Hey there, fellow Canyon crazies. My name is Brian Special, and this is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Man, did I learn a lesson this week. Do not engage with conspiracy theorists when it relates to the Grand Canyon. I unfortunately got into it a bit with a guy on Facebook who basically called me a sheep for believing that the Grand Canyon was formed by erosion and the Colorado River, and basically all of the scientifically proven ways that I thought were considered settled science. But no, not according to this dude. He insisted, and backed up with photos, that the canyon, the entirety of it, is an old quarry system carved out by some unknown species eons ago. I quickly found out that there is no arguing with folks like that, but man, what an eye-opener. I mean, the canyon does have a rich mining history, but just imagine the whole thing was carved out of the earth by machinery. Yeah, anyways, all right. This time on the show, no conspiracy theories whatsoever, just sound training advice from our buddy Coach Arnie, Arnie Fonseca Jr. Coach Arnie is an exercise physiologist and canyon regular with one R5 under his belt. That's a double rim to rim to rim, a quadruple crossing, which he first accomplished at the age of 60 and is now ramping up his training to do again in October of 2024 when he will be 65. And there's no record of anyone that age ever completing such a monumental hike. Over the years, Coach Arnie has used his expertise to develop a couple of training methods that are so simple, yet he says more effective than just about anything you can do to get ready for the canyon. I first met Coach Arnie on Black Mountain in Cave Creek, Arizona, a couple of years back, and found out that that's where he does the majority of his training. So I thought, what better way to have a conversation than to catch up with him at the end of one of his Saturday sessions and sit down on Black Mountain to do it. So that is exactly what we did. Here's that chat from a few hundred feet above the desert floor with Coach Arnie on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Enjoy. All right, Arnie, I've been looking forward to this one because you and I met on Black Mountain here in Cave Creek, Arizona, and I got this crazy idea. I was like, you know what, man? What if I grabbed a couple of chairs and I grabbed a couple of mics and we kind of just sat off to the side and overlooked Cave Creek and Phoenix and the Valley of the Sun and just kind of shot the breeze, so to speak, about the canyon and training and all that stuff, because I think people really, really want to hear about the training aspect of hiking the canyon. There are so many different ways to do it. There are so many opinions out there. You're an exercise physiologist. You understand this stuff so much better than so many people do. You've also hiked rim to rim to rim to rim to rim, the famous quadruple crossing that you did at 60, and you're getting ready to do it again at 65 here in another October, so another 6 months or so.
Yeah.
So you're ramping up your training. We're chilling here on Black Mountain. Do you remember when we met here on Black Mountain?
I do.
It was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. You were just some dude that was
Some dude
that was just, he had this steady climbing. Because I look at people, you know, I'm very careful who I talk to.
Yes, you are.
Because
I was going to say.
Because I'm training.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today.
You mean business?
I'm business. I'm training. There's a handful of guys and ladies up here that I'll say hi to and stop and converse a little bit. People will ask me. I love questions. There was a guy here that ran a tour out of one of the resorts around here. Oh gosh, what's his name? It doesn't matter. But I used to run into him all the time, and he would tell stories to his group about me.
Yeah.
And Cody, and you probably know him.
Yeah, I do.
And so Cody would tell the group, and they would, I mean, there might be 10, 15 people at the most, and they would just cheer me on, and every once in a while I'd stop and go, let's take a picture. So we'd all gather around in a big group and take a picture. And to me, that kind of stuff was fun. And it was, you know, me being able to share my joy, my adventures. Cody would tell everybody that I'm getting ready to do the Grand Canyon, or this guy's doing like multiple climbs up Black Mountain. He's in his 60s, and it was just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so Cody, and then you seemed kind of business too, though.
Totally.
Because you were moving and grooving, and you weren't really doing multiples.
No.
What's this guy's story? And so it came to a head.
It did.
It came to a head when I was here training. I think I was training for a canyon trip, but I wanted to get in a big one. And so Benedict and I, my good friend Ben, had come up. I'm going to try to hit 10 on Black Mountain. And
10 times. And just for everyone, 1,241 feet, I think, is the elevation gain in 1.1 miles from the parking lot. So doing that 10 times, I mean, you do the math. That's basically 12,000 feet of vert. And you're wearing the shirt today that you were wearing when I met you.
This is my game shirt.
I love it. It says at the top, it says R2R2R. When we started, it was dark. When we finished, it was dark. And I remember seeing that, and I'm like, I got to know this guy's story, because that sounds like a Grand Canyon thing, and it sounds painful. It sounds like a challenge. I've got to know what this guy's story is. And so we chatted a little bit that day. And then I came back one day, several hours after my morning hike to do a second one. And you had been there in the morning, and you were there, and this is like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And that's the day you were doing 10.
Right.
And I think I went up with you on the last.
No, it wasn't my last one, because we saw. I was just getting my stuff out of my car, and I turned around. You had parked, and you were getting out, and you went, "Okay, what are you doing?"
That sounds.
And
right.
I said, I'm training for whatever today, and I think I was getting into some kind of weird mind space at the time.
Yeah.
And you go, no, you're not quitting now. You're going up, and let's go. And it was getting kind of cloudy.
Yeah, it was about to rain.
It was about to rain. I know, you're going right now.
Yeah.
And let's go. You're going to get to the top.
That's
so
right.
you kind of set a nice pace for me, because I think I was either 8. I was 8. It was 8. So we were closing in on 10,000 feet.
And we chatted the whole way up there.
Yeah, we did. And we
great.
were just moving and grooving, and then I came back down, and then it started raining. And I called Benedict, or he called me, and I go, man, it's gonna rain, Benedict. I don't know if I can do. He goes, no. You've got to do a canyon. You're doing canyon elevation today. You're not stopping, and you got to do this. I go. So I bagged up my phone and stuff, and then bam, it started pouring, and this is after you left, and so it started pouring.
Yeah.
And I made it up to the saddle, and I go, I'm gonna turn around. I can't do this. It's dangerous. It's rivers coming down, and I forgot what I was even wearing, and so I got up to the saddle, and it stopped. And then I just went all the way up, and so it ended up, it was 9 and change, because I always do my little whatever. So, and because I was going to go back up and make it an official 10, but it was close enough, and it was raining, and I really didn't want to mess with it. It was wet. So, because this is fun for me, Brian, this is a training, it's like going to the gym. This is not the end goal. The end goal is to make it to the canyon or wherever I'm training to go. Or like now I've got a trip next month in April. I've got a family I'm going to work with in May. And so I think about that when I'm up here, because I'm training to help them achieve their adventure, their memories. And it does them no good if I'm hurt, if I have to, because of my risk-taking or stupidity, and so I think about that. So it does play into what I'm training, because I always tell people that I'm working with, what's your purpose? You'll even see me sometimes on the site. What's your plan? What is your coming out here without a purpose? I think it's nice. It's people go up there. I met a couple up there, and her husband was really dragging behind, and you could tell he was really hurting and wearing sweats and stuff. You could tell they're probably hot, and because it was her first time, and she was with her dad. But I like to. It's like going to the gym without having a training program. When I'm on the mountain, I want to have a training program. What am I working on today? Am I working on my downhill work? Am I working on climbing today? Am I working on posture? One of the things that we're going to lead into here is, and I was thinking about it today because I was putting my bullet points together for you. And one of the things that Benedict taught me a long time ago was about pelvic stability. And you'll probably see me or hear me put that on a lot of different posts when people are talking about, because to me, the canyon or whatever your climbing adventure, it really is about pelvic stability. Because when your pelvis gets out of alignment, which is why most people go to chiropractors and things like that, when your pelvis, your pelvis can tilt forward or it can tilt backwards or side to side slightly, and that's when you get some SI pain. But when that thing goes sideways on you, which means when it's not in the right position for whatever that might be for you, you're in trouble.
Well, what does that even mean? What does pelvic stability even mean? Is that like your center of gravity?
No.
What is it?
It means your actual pelvis, when it moves too far forward or too far back or too far from side to side, it can, side to side can create a sciatic pain. Your SI joint, you've heard that phrase, can get out. It's just a small little joint in your back. And if that moves just a little bit, it radiates pain all the way across your lower back.
Well, someone who's not an exercise physiologist like you are, I've never even considered my pelvis when I'm hiking. So how do you even know that you're doing it right or doing it wrong? How do you even know?
Well, just like I was just walking up right now, there's a handful of young girls. They're walking up, and they're all, it's kind of fun because they're probably high school or maybe college, and they're all wearing their spandex and their dance suits up here, and I was kind of walking behind them and listening to them, and a couple of the girls are going, "Man, this really hurts my back," and I'm thinking to myself, and I kind of joke with them because they kept stopping. I said, "You guys got to go a little further than that before you stop." The point of that is, here are these young people, and because of leaning into the mountain, because the technique is to lean into the mountain when you go up and to lean back when you go down. So you create a center of balance. And by leaning forward, you're creating an arch in your lower back. So you keep your chest vertical.
Okay.
And keep wherever you're going, up or down, vertical. And that's why I like to use poles here, because I'm using poles for posture going up. I want to keep my versus going down. When I'm coming down, I do not use poles, because I am working on my quad. Everything I do here is related to my training at the gym. So when I'm coming down, I am hammering purposely my quads, my anterior tibs, that's the muscle from the knee down to your foot on the front of your leg, and my feet. So, because everything I train is from the bottom up, the feet up, okay? And so, but it's all related to your pelvic stability.
Okay, so if we have the luxury of having this mountain in our backyard that we train on all the time, but are there any simple, explainable tips that you have for exercises people can do in order to improve their pelvic stability?
Absolutely. The easiest one in the world, and I always do this in whatever group I'm in, walk backwards.
I was just going to ask you this, Arnie, because you've said that you've been singing the praises of walking backwards. And lately, I've been doing it. I've been walking down the road that leads up to the mountain here backwards. And I'm asking myself, why the hell am I doing this?
Well,
so this is why.
I'm going to help you with that. Let's make some corrections there. Walking downhill backwards is a little risky.
Okay.
Because you got gravity. Now, the best way, if you really want to get some training in, go backwards uphill. Because then you're going to really work those quads.
That feels so strange.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that do it, and I always compliment or say something to them. So when you go backwards uphill, it puts your chest up. It keeps your pelvis where it should be. It's a beautiful thing. It works your hamstrings. It works your glutes. It works your toes. It works your tibs. It's a great exercise. I always tell people when we have a phone consult, I'll say, regardless of whether you want to work with me or not, I'm going to give you a couple nuggets. And the first nugget is walking backwards. And for most people, especially the ones that I work with, Brian, it's just flat walking. Just find an area that's safe so you're not going to fall in a hole or something, and just walk backwards. And then what I do is I start to add resistance to them. Like I have sleds that people pull, and we have tires and sleds, and I load them up. And some people that have really bad joints and hips and knees, they get to be pulling 200-300 pounds of weight. And it really makes a difference in their knee pain and their hip pain. It's a game changer. I learned about this years ago with hamstrings and ACL injury repair. And then just the last few years, Ben Patrick, who's a friend, he's now known as the knees over toes guy, young guy, he's like 30. And he's kind of made his name with walking backwards and on treadmills and stuff. So, and we used to do it years ago for hamstring and ACL repair. So in the therapy world. So, but it is a phenomenal, if you do nothing but walk backwards with resistance eventually and pushing, this is key.
Would walking uphill backwards count as resistance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. You don't need a sled. Just do that.
This seems like an incredible golden nugget because it's something people can understand and they can do anywhere.
Yeah.
What would training look like training program walking backwards look like in terms of how long do you do it? How often do you do it? How far, how long before you have your rim to rim, let's say, should you start doing that?
All right, great question. I'm glad you asked that. I always start everybody off on 10 minutes. 10 minutes flat, depending on what their situation is. Most people that are training for the Canyon aren't compromised. They don't have hip or knee pain, hopefully not. So they can start off at least 10 minutes, and then I start to add. We can also train them on a treadmill. I call it dead milling. You just turn the treadmill off or unplug it, and you can walk on a treadmill. You can elevate it, and then you can walk backwards on it. So get it elevated, turn it off, and keep the elevation. You can go. You can walk up a hill backwards, and then kind of walk forward downhill. And then you can also do, if you have access to a sled or sometimes tires or something you can tie around your waist, you can pull it backwards. Minimum 10 minutes. And then...
how often?
What's that?
How often? How many
Every
times
day.
a week? Every day.
If you want to. So, which means if you get 3 or 4 days a week or 3 days a week, you're doing really good. People don't understand when they see me do what I do. I'm only training twice a week, Brian. But I do so many exercises at the gym that stimulate the Grand Canyon. That's part of the program. It's so that I don't have to overtrain.
You're not overdoing it. You're training smart.
I'm training really smart because I'm going to be 65 here in a couple months. I don't have to kill myself on a mountain. I am training smart because I want to do things like the Grand Canyon or Cactus the Clouds, whatever it might be. I'm not really big on, like going out and just kind of figuring out a trail. That's not me. I'm not an orienteering. I like physical challenges. So it makes me get up, get to the gym. It makes me get out here on Saturday mornings. And that's exactly what I try to teach to the people that I work with. So whatever your Miyagi is in your life, if it's the Grand Canyon, if you hear this and if yours is a rim to rim or rim to river or like my wife to go to Uha Point, whatever yours is, take it seriously. I mean, respect the canyon, respect yourself, and don't go down there and just try to just kind of figure it out. Take your training seriously. Find somebody that can help you, and if you want to do it yourself, great. And there's a lot of guys in the group that have figured out stuff that works for them. I'm not going to tell them what to do, but if you do something, I own everything I do. So if I go to the canyon or I do something goofy and it doesn't work out, I own that. And every time I go to the canyon or go training here and something doesn't feel right, Brian, I go back to what I call my laboratory, which is the gym, and I try to figure out what movement can I do to make that better.
The Rim to Rim Pack from Bright Angel Outfitters should be here in May, and it's Coach Arnie approved, by the way. The Rim to Rim Pack is a day pack designed for the world's toughest day hikes and inspired and conceptualized during my hundreds of miles below the rim as I thought about everything I would want in a pack but could not find. The result is a beautiful, simple, comfortable, practical pack highlighted by the 6 pouches and pockets on the front shoulder straps. that lets you keep on moving without having to stop every time you need a snack or some electrolytes or your phone or whatever. Those front pockets I have found to be total game changers. The Rim to Rim pack also has a fully insulated compartment for water bladders and is a one-size-fits-most design with high-quality, water-resistant fabric. We think you will love it as we do. Coach Arnie used a prototype on a January Rim to Rim to Rim and said he absolutely loved it. I've already had several Rim to Rims with it myself, and it's everything I hoped it would be. Quantities will be extremely limited to start. Find out more at brightangeloutfitters.com. At Bright Angel Outfitters, we do it all for the love of the canyon. I love the walking backwards.
Yeah.
Because, again, we can all relate to that, and we can all do it pretty much anywhere. So
Easy.
Walking backwards, that's golden nugget number one. I'm curious where you stand on this next topic, that when people ask for training advice in the canyon, it's the number one thing that you hear, and you're going to know exactly what I'm about to say: stairs.
Yeah.
Walk the stairs, walk the steps, walk stadium steps. That's the number one thing you hear. What's more important? Is it more important to walk backwards, or is it more important to do the stadium steps? And where do you fall on steps?
You want the truth?
You darn right.
The truth is walking backwards is more important. And let me tell you why. First of all, there's nothing wrong with stadiums and Stairmasters and all that good stuff, but everybody is so wound up about climbing out of the canyon. I got news for everybody. You're climbing out of the canyon is going to be the easiest thing in the world if you prepare to go downhill, get down into the canyon. And backwards walking will get you into the canyons with less energy, okay? My biggest problem with stadiums is it's a fixed, even if you do one or two, it's still a fixed height, and it's a fixed movement. And that can create what you can get into movement pattern, almost like tendonitis, because it's like an overuse injury. It's like typing on a keyboard, because you're doing the same movements with your finger and your wrist starts hurting. Okay, so my problem with doing stairs, or because I've done that, and all of a sudden the next day your knee hurts, or you're in a cycling class, and you're in a shoe, and you do the cycling class for an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it might be, and you come out and your knee hurts, because if your knee or your foot or your hip is in the wrong position for enough repetitive movements, Brian, it can cause pain. The reason I love Black Mountain, because it's chaotic. It's sharp rocks. It's up and down. It's long jumps. It's similar to the canyon, except steeper and harder. You know what I'm saying? So the canyon is 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches. It's flat. It's elevation. It's chaos. Okay, it's not sharp rocks like this, but there are places where it can be sharp rocks. It is chaos. Stairs are not chaos. A Stairmaster is not chaos.
Well, what about people like in the heartland who don't have access to hills or mountains, and that's what they think they need to do for their elevation training? Right.
Exactly. So they do what they have to do, or they do backwards walking.
So it's okay to do it, but maybe not as beneficial as other things?
No, I'm just being 65-year-old Coach Arnie that's trying to give you a shortcut, a hack that can make your experience better. Because many, many, many marathon runners and great fit runners, athletes come to the canyon and it becomes a one-off. They're a heck of a lot more fit than I am, Brian, and it's a one-off. And they're training, they're running, they're doing their Stairmaster, they're doing their squats, their lunges, and all that stuff. I mean, I met so many of those people coming out of Bright Angel the first time I did it, and they were all talking about their training programs, their lunges, their squats, and I was doing all that stuff too. But I figured out better things, and I figured it out from my experience in the canyon that were better than those things, and that's okay. So you can figure out better too. So let me explain it this way: if you are doing stairs, and you've done that, and you do that, and you're doing the Stairmaster, and you go to the canyon, and you have a great experience, who am I to tell you what to do? I'm not going to tell you anything different. I'm going to pat you on the back and say, good for you. Am I going to do that? No, because it didn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. So I'm developing things that work for me. And so when I work with somebody, if they came to me, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for where their imbalances are, because most people that come to me aren't like these 25-year-old fit ultra runners that are running on top of the rocks. Those aren't the people I don't worry about them. I'll worry about them when they're 50 years old and they've had a few nicks and stuff, if I'm still around. But I'm looking for people that want to go into the canyon and out of the canyon with a smile on their face. Period. End of story. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want it to be a nightmare. I don't want it to be a death march for you. I've been on those. It doesn't feel good. That's all. So there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff if it works for you. If you want to go down there and eat bags of candy and donuts and whatever else you want to get your calories in and it works for you, I'm not going to tell you what to do. That doesn't work for me. I want to figure out things that work for me physically. So stair climbing is, of course, it's a good exercise. There's nothing wrong with it. But is it the best movement you can do? So if you're asking me, and if we were to, I would love that. That'd be a good little science project, little study. I'll take 6 people. We'll put them on hard backwards walking and pushing against resistance, and then we'll go against stair climbers and stadium steppers, and we'll see who does better in the canyon.
I like it. What's another exercise? Let's come up with one more.
This
walking
is easy.
backwards. Walking backwards is the best thing for you. What else? What else we got?
What am I doing?
You're bending. You're lifting his feet up, and he's bending his toes forward.
I'm lifting my toes up. I'm working on my anterior tibialis. I've talked to you about this before. This muscle here, this is so cool.
That's the front from the knee to the ankle, essentially, right?
Actually, the tendon runs underneath your foot, so it supports your foot as well. Remember I said ground up. This is the coolest exercise, and it's so simple.
Describe what you're doing.
Okay, if I'm sitting here right now, I'm lifting my toes up.
Sitting flat in a chair.
I'm lifting my toes up.
And just lifting your toes up.
But I have people do this standing up. I have people standing up, and they put their hands on their knees, and I get them to lift their...
So the heels stay on the ground, and you're lifting your toes up.
Oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is the greatest thing. When your anterior tib, this is so cool. Listen, this is so cool. When your anterior tib is strong, okay, the first point of contact when you come down is, bam, that big toe, all right? I'm also a big fan of building that foot, the big toe. So the big toe strikes, and that muscle goes, that force goes into your anterior tibialis. Most people's anterior tibialis is pretty weak, so then it goes into the calf, okay, from there. So your calf then has to absorb that pressure, and that's when you get soreness in your calf muscles. And then when your calf goes, the soleus is next. That's underneath the calf, the gastrocnemius. And then you get Achilles tendon soreness, because the Achilles tendon holds your foot stable. And when you're doing trail running, your foot's all over the place. And my Achilles tendon used to get sore all the time, Brian, all the time. Guess how often my Achilles gets sore now?
Probably never.
Never. I do it twice a week. If you put weight on twice a week, you're using resistance. If you're not using resistance, you can do anterior tibialis training every single day. Just do one set until they burn. If you're doing them twice a week, if you're going to use weight, then you got to do twice a week.
It's just being intentional. You could be sitting there on your phone or watching TV, just sitting in a chair and doing this exercise.
I'm looking at your legs right now, Brian. You've got monster legs, bigger than mine, but I'll put mine against yours coming downhill, baby. Okay, and but one reason that you have those big calves like that is because you're climbing up the mountain. But what wouldn't it be neat if you had all that juice in those calves when you're going up Bright Angel or up South Kaibab?
Yeah,
because you'd go so much faster. Another little tip from strengthening that muscle is I try to walk with my foot mostly on the ground as I'm going. I don't push off and then I always focus on the inside of my foot and my big toe. But the reason I can do that is because of my anterior tibialis has rested my calves. My calves never get sore. And so, but it's all because of that anterior tibialis. If you're listening to this and you did anterior tibialis and walking backwards, you're going to have so much of a better canyon adventure.
And you didn't say anything about training on stadium steps for 6 hours, 3 times a week. You didn't say anything about that. You did.
No.
You talked about something that you can do in your front yard,
Yep.
in your backyard,
Yep.
and walking backwards and sitting in front of the TV or on your phone and doing these toe raises, essentially.
You lift your toe up, keep your heel on the
Foundational
ground.
strength, right?
That's it. So if you're listening to this and you're trying to develop your program, once you find your program, you become the expert. Become your own expert. So whether a Coach Arnie or a Brian or Mary or Bill or John comes up to you, because they're all going to tell you what they do, but you can always love them and say, thanks, but I've got it figured out. And when you say, and please take this with a grain of salt, when you say you've got it figured out, always be learning. I call it CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. You have to constantly want to improve. I want to improve. If I can find things, steal things, learn things, I'm always on the lookout for something that can help me and what I'm trying to do, or if I'm trying to help somebody else. I'm always on the lookout for something new and different that is good. If it doesn't work, I toss it. If it works, I keep it. Okay? If I know somebody that might help, I share it. I mean, but that's what for me, it's all about. For my training, it's the canyon. Yours might be whatever it might be. Yours might be just to play with your grandkids, whatever that might be. But or walking, climbing stairs. Some people can't climb stairs. It's really a struggle to go downstairs or upstairs. But for us, because you're the Grand Canyon hiker, dude, it's about doing the canyon better. I mean, I don't want people to struggle. I mean, Benedict and I have had so many discussions about not making the canyon a one-off. Even if you're coming from Pennsylvania or Michigan or Chicago or wherever you might be, and it's a big deal, it's a big trip, I get that. But you know what? When you finish, I want you to say, man, I got to get back here. I'm going to do it again. I want to do an R3, or I want to do Rim to River. I'm going to maybe get a reservation at Phantom Ranch. I'm going to explore. I want you to be so happy and so joyful about this place that you and I both love, Brian, and that you want to come back and you're going to figure out how you can take your family back and really make it instead of, whew, man, that was a killer. I'm glad I got that out of the way. I don't want that. So training for me allows me to keep going back to the canyon. I'm not afraid of the canyon anymore. I embrace the canyon. I love the canyon. The canyon, I've divided into little tiny pieces. I just take it one piece at a time. And like I said, I'm not afraid of the canyon, but I respect the heck out of the canyon, which means that's why I'm here on Black Mountain. And that's why I'm doing this show with you, because I want other people, because I know that people are listening to your show, and they can learn from someone like you that's giving them information that is helpful, because you've been down there enough times now that you can teach the canyon. And if you're somebody that's listening to this and you've been down there too and you've got good experiences, teach the canyon. If you don't have good experiences, laugh about it, learn from it.
And then go back and do it again.
And go back and do it again
so
that but don't just tell somebody, oh, this is no. Respect the canyon enough because the canyon can hurt you. Okay, it can kill you.
In many ways.
And we don't want that, because we want it's a beautiful place. It's a national park. It's the 7 wonders of the world. Just respect it. And to me, especially at my age, strength is so important, Brian. As over 50, it's super important, and not just for the Grand Canyon. I mean, for life. Strong joints, strong bones, healthy muscles is so important. But man, if you're healthy and you're fit, you can do the canyon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can get yourself in shape to do it. And you just came up with 2 very simple, very easy to understand ways to really give yourself that foundational strength. And it's not necessarily about killing yourself on the Stairmaster and doing endless stadium steps and spending a lot of time doing it, because these things that you gave us these tips that you gave us, easy to understand. They don't take a lot of time, and they will give you everything that you need in order to hike the canyon safely and successfully and have the time of your life, which is all that any of us want. Yeah, I love these tips, Arnie. Where can people follow you? Because it sure would be nice to see video and stuff that supports this podcast, that people can go and follow you and maybe see some of this stuff in action. Where can they go to do that?
You can go to Instagram. I'm Pain-Free Arnie on Instagram. You can see stuff that I'm doing on Facebook. My full name, Arnie Fonseca Jr. You can see stuff on LinkedIn, Arnie Fonseca Jr. If you have questions, and I did this before, I'm going to do it again. If you have questions, and I've had a couple people this past week call me at 602-390-9144. I will never tell you.
And we'll put that number in the show notes again.
I will never tell you that you're doing something that's dumb if you call me. I will. Look, I love everybody. And if you ask me questions, I'm going to be honest with you. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to help you. Think of me as coming through the phone and just giving you a big hug, and I'm going to help you to do whatever you're going to do. And if at the end of the day, Brian, they rethink what their plan is, great. If they embrace their plan, great. I care, but I'm not emotional about it. I just don't want to read about you.
Yeah, right. Or be in the Death in the Grand Canyon book. My God, I'm reading that Death in the Grand Canyon book right now.
Why?
Oh, yeah, why? Exactly. That's what I'm asking myself.
I picked it up. I looked at it. I thumbed through it. I said, nah, I can't read.
Yeah, I'm like 5 pages in, and it's just all so jarring to read. It's called Death in the Grand Canyon. It like documents every documented death in the canyon over the last 100 or so years. And it is jarring because they tell these stories in such a compelling way, and you keep waiting for the happy ending, and there's no happy ending.
There isn't.
Oh my gosh. But I do recommend it because it's interesting reading, and it does teach you more about the Grand Canyon. Arnie, I think you need a course on this thing, man. Why is there no course on this? I think people would really like that. Is that something in the works maybe?
It is. It is in the works. Yes,
I think people would love that, man.
I know. We're going to put a course together, and it's going to be...
Sign me up.
It's going to be Canyon certified, too.
I love it, yeah.
It's going to be Canyon certified because, listen, this doesn't have to be crazy, expensive, and complicated. It's taken me 10 years since I've been to the canyon, and I'm 60. I'm going to be 65 here. So don't think you have to start when you're 20. I started when my first trip was when I was 55 years old.
And look at you doing quadruple crossings now.
So you don't have, now granted I was an athlete, but you know what, I was 55. So this doesn't have to be complicated.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, but there are simple things you can do and you can learn. And listening to Brian's show, I think, is wonderful. It's kind of brought to life a lot of the things that we read about and hear about in social media, and that's always wonderful. And
but as a supplement to that, I really think that there's a hunger for a course
there
like
is.
this.
And we just need some touch points.
You're the perfect one to teach something.
If we
like
have
this.
some
I'd love to see
touchstones or touch points that we can go to, that we can get reliable information. Look,
put it on your list.
Brian, it is. Brian's not talking to me because I'm some guy that he runs into once in a while. He sees me. He sees my dedication. He sees what I'm doing at the canyon, and that's important because, like I said, everybody has an opinion. Like, you know what? So I love everybody. I want everybody to be successful, and I've learned from some of the best. I just want to share the information.
And one of the big reasons why this show exists, honestly, is because of the shirt Arnie's wearing right now. And a couple years later, here we are talking here on Black Mountain in the place where it all started. And I just got to say, man, I'm so grateful for you. And you inspired me. And I think you inspire a lot of people. And I hope we see that course sometime because I think that a lot of people could use that that kind of canyon certified information, so to speak. So this is fun, man. Up here on Black Mountain in Cave Creek, our first live show.
Yeah, I love it.
Right?
This is cool. I mean, we should.
We'll do
we
this
always
again.
talk about having a bar up in the top of the of Black Mountain, but
I think we need a zip line up there first. Then we'll work on the bar.
yeah, little gondolas coming down.
Yeah. Hey, man, this was fun. Let's do it again.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, and I love what you're doing, and thank you so much for trusting me and for bringing me on your show multiple times now. I appreciate you, bud.
Thank you, my friend. It's an honor. Yeah, our thanks to Coach Arnie for those simple and valuable tips. And how many people these days are willing to give out their phone number to folks they don't know? Amazing. His contact information will be in the show notes. Hey, as the weather warms up, please remember our Grand Canyon Shade Tracker. It's a totally free tool that lets you see when and where you'll have shade on your hike, no matter the route, no matter the day. If you've never been to the canyon, you might not know how much you will appreciate any shade you can get. It can be life-saving. And the Shade Tracker lets you plan your trip to maximize time out of the direct sun, which, trust me, you will appreciate more than you might even know. The Grand Canyon Shade Tracker, check it out at brightangeloutfitters.com or at gcshadetracker.com. While you're there, have a look at our collection of t-shirts and hoodies, including our Rim to Rim collection. At Bright Angel Outfitters, we do it all for the love of the canyon. One last request, if you could leave us a rating or review on whatever platform you're listening on, that really helps us get the show to more folks that we can help, and it helps ensure that we'll be doing this for a long time to come, which we sure hope to do. We're trying our best to release a new episode every Wednesday, so any feedback you can leave us is greatly appreciated. All right, that's it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step, embrace the journey, and when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and enjoy the visual majesty that is the Grand Canyon. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.